Hi everyone, I believe I am live now. I'm not sure. You're live. We're building an audience for you. That's what the video is saying. Well, Facebook. And I'm currently going to make a live video instead of recording it and then uploading it. And I'm going to share a little bit about my past and what my life might have looked like if it wasn't for Destiny and coming across Destiny and the message. So it's actually quite interesting because before Destiny, I was a guy that used to party a lot. I used to go out a lot, and I used to also drink a lot. Drinking, you can ask my parents, they know very well the things I caused at home and also how I behaved with alcohol. And besides that, I was very much into cheating in my relationships, and I did it secretly. I didn't tell my partners necessarily about it. Obviously, even after breaking up, I didn't tell anyone. I used to line up a lot of women in my life to have future relationships or even to cheat on with, where I would meet them at the gym, I'll meet them at the mall, I'll meet them at a restaurant. And this used to be my life just before Destiny. And basically I quit school. I left school at the age of 18. I didn't finish high school. I also started working as a waiter, and I did that as my full-time job. So I would go to work 7 in the morning and I'll go home 6, 7 at night, sometimes 8. And that was a full daily shift. And with the money I made, I would party. I would use it for petrol, basic stuff, and the rest that's left, I would get alcohol. So basically that's how I lived for about 2 years of my life, 1.5, not fully into my 18th year. And yeah, basically with Destiny, which came online in 2007, I never participated online. I actually knew Bernard Pullman and everyone that used to live at Cluve, who started Destiny and the websites and so on. I used to know everyone personally, and I have been aware of process all my life, what Bernard has been walking with, self-forgiveness, with understanding existence and life, and also how the mind works, how we work, and what does it mean to be a living being. So I was very much aware of process currently that's known as Destiny back in the day when I was still a young child, since I was born basically. And I always heard all these things about process, and Bernard walking is a process. Back then it wasn't yet the process that's now existing. It was Bernard just walking a process. And I have met the portal in 2007 in the beginning of the year, but all of that had an impact on me, but it didn't have an impact on me to where I would walk my process. In fact, I just continued giving into desires, giving into the mind, giving into energy, giving into the ego. My point mainly that I faced was ego. Being a very popular kid at school, being popular and enjoying partying, enjoying being the fun, the life of an event or party. And people liking me, people listening to me, people following me. And these are the things that I gave into a lot as the energies that I enjoyed participating in. So with not walking my process and going that route, I soon discovered I was extremely depressed. And with this, I started drinking on a daily basis. I would buy myself a bottle of vodka. And while I'm at home, I would just sip on a bottle of vodka and be tipsy the whole day. And I would come home on weekends where I would break things, I would yell at people, I would almost start fights. And these are the things that happened because I left school a year before. So I also disconnected myself from my friends, and I disconnected myself from the usual circle of people that I used to hang out with. And fascinating enough, when I left school, my friends disappeared as if I never existed. So that was quite interesting for me, because I thought we were real friends. I thought we really cared about each other. We wanted to hang out. But my friends kind of disappeared and started excluding me. So for me to party, for me to keep on getting the energy that I was enjoying from getting from parties, from people, from girls, from hanging out with guys, I had to start connecting with different kind of friends. And this led to more darker parties, more darker scenes than the scenes I was used to. So within this, I didn't see a future for myself. I didn't see anything that I would want to do in this world. In fact, I didn't want to live in this world. I don't want to live for money. I don't want to survive. I don't want to drive a nice car. I've never ever been interested in cars or houses. You know, nothing interested me in this world, because since a young age, I was very passionate about animals. I was very passionate about nature and the wild. But the system didn't give those expressions to us to live and make a profit from, or, you know, to make a life from, unless you go and study for many years at some place to become a conservatist, or to become a wildlife ranger, or to become farm manager. And here comes in my other downfall, which was me having dyslexia and also not being able to effectively read and write. And it affected me a lot. And this way I defined myself as dumb, not capable of studying, of going further into the system to do the things I want to do. But it was such a far stretch. Now I have to go to university and I have to study about animals. I have to study about the wild. I have to somehow still make money. And how am I ever going to have my own wildlife reserve? You know, these were all the things I wanted to do, that I was passionate about, but school was so boring. You know, sitting in the class and listening over and over to the same shit every day. And you'd rather make fun and tease and play around. And when you have homework, or when you have tests coming up, this is what I did. I would just quickly copy over the work. I would quickly cheat. But just before the exam, I would just quickly go over everything. Or in the exams, I would actually swap my exam papers with the person next to me or behind me, because they studied. And I can just quickly memorize the stuff and fill it in, which was very difficult, but I still got 40% and just above passing rates. So my future looked very bleak. And even though I could have done things to enhance myself, to make my future possible, but I really gave up. I really weren't interested in even helping myself, supporting myself. I wasn't interested in making it this life. So alcohol became a big thing, and alcohol took over a big part of my expression, who I was, 17, 18, those years. And yeah, it was just taking me down all the way. So then Bernard and LJ contacted me and said that they're getting a farm. And as you know, my passion is animals, the wild, nature. It's all these things that I had as a child, which I could do without money being implied, because you can just play outside. You can just be in the garden. You can just walk in the fields and enjoy yourself. There was no, you need money to do this. You need money to go there. You need this to do that. You know, because your parents still took care of you. So the immediate thought that came up was a farm. Oh my God, I can go on a farm. My first impression wasn't to walk process or to start process. My first impression was, I'm gonna go to a farm and I'm gonna work on a farm. And this is the deal that Bernard made with me. He said, Gyan, come work on the farm and get some physical experience. Get to see what is nature, what it is to work with your hands. Come work with a hammer, come work with cutting grass, taking care of animals. And all of these things really intrigued me. I really wanted to do that. So I arranged with my parents, and a whole story happened there why I couldn't come and then I could come. So that's a whole nother story that I'm not going to get into today, all right? Some intense moments is all I can tell you. Now, I came to Desteni, and here on the farm, here in South Africa, and at the time there was about 15 people. These people were from overseas, and the people were from South Africa in general. And yeah, I just joined up with a bunch of people here on the farm, and it was fun. In the first 2 weeks, I was introduced to, I think it was 18 dogs almost. Maybe, no, 18. It was about 16, 15 dogs. There was 4 horses. There were a lot of wild bush and a lot of wild grass and a lot of work to be done, and building and maintenance and so forth. So on the farm, I started working in the physical. And this was something new for me. I used to do waitering, so I was fit on my legs, I was fit walking, I was fit holding plates and, you know, doing all your general stuff. But did I learn something new about working with the earth, digging a hole, cutting grass, breaking grass? And you're starting to do that from early morning up until late evening when it's dinner time. So here I went from an environment that was boring, dead, zombie-like, and very numbing. Every day is like, you're a waiter, you stand, and then you have to smile and pretend to give a shit because you need money, and you know, you start conversation with people, they don't tip you right, you go home with barely anything. And here I was standing in a field with bugs, with animals to discover, with nature, with other people, and there was movement in your body. And within this I discovered a lot of bad things about myself, because the thoughts that come up in your head when you are all alone in a field and you are digging a hole, it's the most random things that you can think of that come in your head. You're suddenly thinking about a movie that you watched, and you're thinking about how the movie should have ended. And in your head, you are pretending to be a producer, and you are now making up how this movie should have ended according to your preference, to your point of view, and how you would have liked it, while digging a hole. And the next thing you know, you're hitting your foot with the pickaxe. And you're like, what? Where was I? What was I doing? Alright, so you discover these little things about yourself when you work out in nature, doing something physical. When you are working with a hammer, when you are working with a chainsaw, when you're working with a saw, when you're working with electrical drills, when you're working with cutting grass, raking grass, when you're working with animals, you start noticing how your thoughts influence you directly in those moments, and how you then miss a moment, so you make a mistake. And then you start blaming the physical. You're saying, the stupid saw, or the stupid pickaxe. But meantime, it was me having thoughts while I was busy with physical activity. So within the first month of being here at Desteni Farm, those are the noticeable things that I saw for myself that was really holding me back from being effective within working. I would get tired, I would make excuses later on. This was in after 2-3 months. So Bernard started talking to me about process. He started talking about writing and self-forgiveness. And he started talking to me about working with your memories, working with your past, working with your childhood. And he started talking about how you correct yourself, how you live and become living words, how you implement words in your life, and to see how you can change, meaning you take a word, you live it, and you change. And at first, I was very resistant to listening to self-forgiveness, even though I've heard Bernard all my life talk about it. Because all my life, just a quick fill in, it was for my mom and dad. You know, I was always just sitting on the side as a typical child, being the child, and leaving the adults to do the adult talk. So I always heard self-forgiveness, changing yourself, how you better yourself, how you improve yourself, how that directly influences your life, how you improve in living, how you clear your inner space, how you become content with yourself. So these things were just things that I heard. And now Bernard was starting to talk to me about it, and I found it very interesting to what I was experiencing in the first month being on the farm, which is where I'm working, and I'm seeing all these thoughts come up. You know, thoughts would come up as an example of regret. A girlfriend that I had 4 years ago, and you're thinking about this relationship suddenly. And then you're working and you're thinking about all the other girlfriends that you could have had, or you should have gone out with, or you are thinking about what you could have done different in school, and you know, all these past things come up while you're working with something physical, like building a cupboard with woodwork, or when you're digging out a hole in the field to plant a tree, or put in a pole to put up a fence, or when you're driving the tractor, which is a slow thing to do while you're cutting grass, and you are simply driving there for hours going go 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 go. You know, you realize that you're not silent inside. You realize there's things that is years and years old, and yet it comes up. Why is it coming up? Why is it here in the moment while I'm cutting grass? What does it have to do with cutting grass? So basically what I started discovering was that you start seeing how all these past memories, all these past thoughts, feelings and emotions that you've had, or experiences, moments that you lived and didn't complete, you didn't fully live it, they become regrets. They become moments that you have an experience that's imprinted into you. And within this, you're actually living that every single day. You know, they determine the direction you take. They determine who you are in moments, how you react in moments, how you approach situations. They determine so many things for us, and we don't have a say, because these memories, these thoughts, these feelings, these emotions are inside of you from the past. So unless we stop those thoughts, feelings, emotions, take on the memories and apply writing, which is just writing them out, and then you see who were you in those past moments, all right? And who could you have been instead as your better self, as your improved self? So now what you have to do is you have to take those moments and you have to work with it, because they are still determining your life right now, even though it happened 10 years ago. And I confirmed this for myself within the first 3 months being here on the farm and working. Because when you're working, you're slowing down. You're slowing down way much. You're slowing down so much that you can start seeing what's actually happening inside your mind, inside yourself, which you weren't aware of before. Because in the system, you're running, you're busy. You know, it's a business world. It's a busy world. So you never get the moment. You just sit down and see, who am I? Who have I accepted and allowed myself to be and to become? And is this who I would like to be? Is this who I truly am? And you find out, which I did for myself, that this is not who I truly am. You know, the person that became an alcoholic, that used to drink a lot and cause shit. The person that gave up on life, on nature, on animals. The person that started not giving a shit, not caring about people, not caring about hurting people's feelings or emotions. And this is who I became, but it's not who I am. So I had to take self-responsibility for who I have accepted and allowed myself to become. And with this, the Desteni tools, which was so specific that I could see change within the first 2 months of being here on the farm, with just hearing Bernard and then applying writing. So after those first 2 months of writing, this is now 5 months onto being on the farm. So let me just clarify that so it's not confusing. After the first 3 months, I started getting into the process. Then for 2 months, I was actually starting to apply myself, writing, looking at my memories, looking at my thoughts, and also understanding that the mind isn't who I am. The mind is a software, a program that we use. Okay, so this is in simple terms explained to you the conscious, subconscious, and unconscious mind. These are programs that we can put software in, which is our experiences, our memories, that then becomes a pattern that the software automatically plays out for us, so we can just become that thing. So anyway, in being on the farm and physical work, a lot has changed for me. I've realized that I can be more. I can be a lot more in my life with applying myself, working, and being in the physical. You know, where previously I've given up. Why do we give up? You know, because you don't see a way for yourself in this life to improve yourself. You don't have tools. You know, all you have is people always giving you positive messages or telling you something good about yourself, but internally, that's not how you're experiencing yourself. And this is where I had a lot of conflict, because even though I had friends, I had my family, I had people that motivated me, the motivation was never enough, because there wasn't something practical I can apply or do to my life to actually change how I am experiencing myself. And within this is where the Desteni tools came into place for me, which supported and assisted me greatly, which are simple tools, which is writing. If you have a bad thought, like you want to beat the shit out of someone, which I've had, or you want to kill someone, you know, or if you have a thought about sometimes when I was on the road driving, I would have a thought of getting out of the car and beating someone. You know, where does those thoughts come from? How do they accumulate? And here you're looking at emotions. You're looking at stress, frustration, irritation. And where did they come from? How did we build them up? Why are we experiencing ourselves that way? Why is it as if it's happening to us? And then we just go with, oh yeah, I'm frustrated, I'm angry, I'm gonna go and do this thing. You know, and this is how my thoughts started accumulating in my life and how I started experiencing it. So I had no practical way of stopping that until I started applying Desteni tools. It's really that simple. Which first was writing yourself to freedom. Just write the stuff out. Like today I had this thought of, you know, and I'm not going to mention specific thoughts because they're not all nice. We have some very creepy, some very dark, some very sick, perverted thoughts, and we cannot deny that. So you have to write that out for yourself, and you have to see, okay, I'm seeing it here. I had that thought. You cannot deny it, because the moment you deny it, you are suppressing it. When you're suppressing a thought, it's compounding. It's not going away. It doesn't go away. It's inside of you. And every time you have that thought and you just suppress it or put it in the back of your head, you are compounding it. Now, you know when you compound something a lot, like shake a Coke bottle, and you have to open that Coke bottle, what happens? It blows open. Now, we don't know what's going to trigger us in our life to suddenly blow open if we just keep suppressing and denying what exists within us. And this is where writing becomes an outlet for yourself, but it's not the solution yet. It's just to release that pressure. It's just to write down. Doesn't matter how good or evil it seems. It's just to write it down and to realize this is not who I am. This is what I have accepted and allowed to exist within me, but it's not who I am. So you're writing it out to then see it and see, okay, this is the thought I had. Now, you have accepted and allowed it. You are the creator of it. You kept having it without doing anything about it. So now the next step is to forgive yourself. You need to forgive yourself that you have accepted and allowed yourself to make that thought you, and to even participate in that thought as if it is you, which it isn't. I mean, go look at yourself when you were born. You weren't angry. You weren't all these things that you're experiencing today. You were a child like anyone else, a clean slate of life. So how did we end up becoming who we are now today? All right, and this is where you have to investigate yourself. You have to take self-responsibility, because throughout your life, doesn't matter if you're 50 or 100 right now, throughout that time period, we accepted and allowed everything inside of ourselves. Because there is a awareness inside of us every time these things come up. And that awareness is us deciding to either suppress it, deny it, or to act on it. That awareness is us deciding, not the mind, not our conscious, subconscious, unconscious minds. We still do decide. we are always the authority, although we like to give away our authority to something else. So here with the tools, you need to take the next step, which is self-forgiveness. You need to forgive yourself that you have accepted and allowed that thought to dominate your life, to control your life, to give it permission to become an energy to act. So when you have a thought of, let's say, cheating, okay, and there's an energy, where does that thought come from? Do you even know? It originates from somewhere inside of you, which comes from a memory. Either it's something you took on from someone else, or TV, radio, newspaper. There's so many sources out there today where we are being brainwashed and imprinted with knowledge, information, things. Doesn't matter what it is, a picture, a movie, or just words. And then 10 years down the line, we suddenly have a thought or a memory or a feeling or emotion, and we believe it's us. And then we act out on it. And for some reason, I cheated. I don't know why. Honey, forgive me, please. I don't know why I cheated. I will never do it again. Okay, but now you realize you can do it. You realize there's actually no line. Alright? Because you can always decide. Alright? And once you cross that line, it becomes difficult to go back because you've now crossed it and you've realized that it's not as bad as you've made it in your head. But you need to take self-responsibility. This is through applying the tools, which is always to be self-honest. What is self-honesty? I'm not going to give you an entire speech as well today on what is self-honesty. I would suggest that you investigate the Desteni website and you see for yourself what is self-honesty. How does self-honesty work? We have to be able to be honest with ourselves. It's pointless being honest with other people because in those situations, you are hurting someone else. You're hurting yourself. And we need to get self-honest to see where we need to change, to stop the blaming, to stop abdicating responsibility. And we need to realize that we are the creators of ourselves and therefore our lives. And with this, we need to become the authors, which is the authority, isn't it? Where you write your life, you clean your own slate and you start writing your own life. And this is through writing down what already exists inside of you as your programming, and you forgive yourself. I forgive myself that I've accepted and allowed myself to, when and as I have a thought of cheating, to believe that that thought has power over me and that I must act on it. Okay, just within those words, you've now forgiven yourself that you have done that. So you don't do it again. Now you have to live the change. I forgive myself that I've accepted and allowed myself to believe that I'm a cheater. Okay? Why can you forgive yourself even though if you have cheated? It's because you realize you've been only acting on programs, but not actually who you are. Because who you are still needs to come out of all that shit that has been accepted and allowed throughout your whole life and not understanding how it works with programming, brainwashing, mind control. These things exist in this world. That's why people pay for advertisements. That's why advertisements is worth billions of dollars a year. Alright? Because it actually works as long as we are not aware of ourselves. Now imagine the effect movies have on us. Books. Imagine the effects our own parents have on us or had on us. Alright? If they cheated, if they drank, if they yelled and fought, if they did all of these things that is disharmonious, when we were young children, we took it on, we learned it. And that is brainwashing, that is mind control, without us noticing it. And now you're 20, 30 and you're cheating, you're yelling, you're screaming, you're angry, you don't know why, but you just believe it's you, which it isn't. And this is where, with my story, when I came in contact with the tools of Desteni and actually using it, actually applying it, learning to understand what is self-honesty, what is self-responsibility, what is the mind, what is the conscious, subconscious, unconscious mind. Are they who I am or not? What is writing? What is self-forgiveness? All right, what is commitment statements? understanding and educating myself to understand was the first steps, and then to actually apply the tools. And this saved my life. I'm still alive today. I would have probably been dead at the age of 21 if no one noticed. I disappeared for at least 8 years, 7 years, from everyone I used to know to make this change in my life. Not many have those opportunities, but where I was when I was 18 was not good. I was abusing other people emotionally and mentally for my own self-interest and gain. I was abusing myself physically for alcohol and how I looked after myself, my body. I fucked around with my future in terms of work, education, skills, which I had none. And if it wasn't for Desteni, I would not have been here today. I can tell you that. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. This is all I will be able to do for tonight. Let me know what you feel, what you think. I didn't plan this at all. I just started sharing. I was like, you know what? Let me just get some stuff out and get real with people. With the reason you can see me here today is because of Desteni. And I know some people might watch this and go, Desteni is a cult, Desteni is bad, Desteni is weird shit. But guess what? I am alive and I'm standing for a principle, and I'm standing as the best version thus far that I ever would have been in my life. If you did not know me at the age of 17 and 18, then you cannot say Desteni is evil or a cult. Because if you look at me today, I'm a father. I've been married for 6 years. I've been in a consistent, committed relationship for 9 years. I have a 3-year-old son that is awesome. I have 5 African grey parrots that I'm looking after and that I'm responsible for. I have an entire farm that I manage with one other person. I have changed my life 360 degrees to the point where I also support dozens of other people that you do not see or hear about, which go through mental problems, physical problems, that I support on a weekly basis. And they are embedding and proving themselves because I have gone through it, I have walked it, I have stood within it. And because of that, dozens of people's lives are changed for it and for the better of it. And that's what I would like everyone to walk away with the message here. That Desteni has not just changed my life, but because I have changed, I have reached out and touched most probably hundreds of people's lives just because I have not died. So please, everyone, I hope that you investigate things more and take a look for yourself. What is Desteni? And thank you very much, Bernard Pullman. Thank you very much, The Portal. Thank you very much, The Desteni Message. Truly appreciate it. And I will keep standing and walking because it's who I am. It's not a choice. To do unto others what I have been done unto. To give as I would have liked to receive, which I have. Goodbye.